This is ShaliniSays and we get here again another episode of Wine Shine Quarantine with women on top of their game. I've been struggling for a really long time to go on Facebook Live, to go on Insta Live, which is why the delay, and I didn't eventually manage the live. But I know you all had questions, and I know you were looking forward to having them answered online and live, but that didn't happen. But I've still managed to get my hotshot friend and emotional intelligence coach Sanjoli here with me, who's also the founder of Mind and Heart Foundation. And I'm really lucky that she agreed to join me today to answer the questions that you all had addressed to me the last time regarding the children, because we've been talking about the adults and how adults are dealing with the situation, but we were somehow neglecting the whole child story. And I have Sanjoli here with me today, who's also a woman on top of her game. Sanjoli, welcome, and thank you for joining me, and thank you for bearing with me.
Thank you so much. I think everything that could go wrong has gone wrong, but we are determined to make sure that we put this out, right? Yeah. So I love that. I love that spirit. Thanks.
This is going to happen, and I think people don't know that even after the Facebook Live didn't happen, the Insta Live didn't happen, we succumbed to Zoom, and Zoom also decided to disconnect my recording in the middle of it. So we've done it all over again, but we are here, and we are going to answer those questions. That just shows that circumstances are not going to change what we believe in, and we're going to stay calm, and we're going to deal with it the right way. Change your perspective.
So that's very well said.
So Sanjoli, the first question that people had was, because I think we've been talking about adults, but what we forgot is that the children are spending so much time at home and they're not used to it, because even though I think this generation is more used to it than we were, however, they are on the computer all the time, they're WhatsApping, they're on Netflix, or they're, some are also online dating or maybe sexting. I don't know what all is going on, but there's a lot of things going on which parents are very apprehensive about. And they believe that once upon a time they could, tell their child to just go out, like leave this computer, leave the phone, go and play cricket or go play football or just go for a walk with friends. That opportunity and that is not available to them anymore. So and also they want them out of their hair. So they say, okay, let them keep doing it. Yet they know that somewhere it's not right to be doing a lot of things. So how do you handle this situation, Sanjoli?
So, really, I think what I hear you saying is that, there was a time when we could just ask children to go outdoors, and that would just get them off their phones and, out of a world where we didn't know what was happening. We had no idea what was happening, because they could pretty much be inside their room and, be on their phone. And so we could just send them out, and that gave us an illusion of safety in some ways. But, why I'm saying that is because I think, this problem, the challenge here is not so much about, about the fact that the kids are online, as it is about our concern and our worry about the kind of choices that they are making, right? And how, some of those choices might be compromising their safety and, putting them at risk for, some difficulties and challenges, etc. And I think that really is the key problem, because really, I think a lot of kids are doing some great things online, and we all know that, some of our kids are doing some great stuff. So this is, so I think in a way, I think this is a great question that you brought up, Shalini. And I think, in the times of coronavirus, this has just sort of brought to our attention when we are with our kids at home all the time, that they're just spending a lot of time online, And so we're concerned that, how can we equip them to make better choices? I think that's what this is more about, and why, they shouldn't take unnecessary risks and things like that. So I just want to, to answer that question, I want to go quickly into a little bit of the brain development of the teenager. Okay, so the teenage brain is pretty well developed when it comes to being able to experience a multitude of different emotions. In fact, there's a lot going on emotionally, right? The thinking brain has not yet begun to come fully online, and a lot of neuroscientists believe that that's actually going to happen only by the time they're about 25 or 30 years. So the thinking brain will come fully online, right? It'll be thoroughly well developed, right? But at the same time, one of the greatest needs of teenagers, in fact, I think it's a need for all of us human beings, is this need for attachment. You know, uh, you know, uh, and for teenagers, that is actually, I think it becomes even more important, because they're actually completely dependent on, their caregivers, their parents, and the adults around them to take care of them. for an extended period of time before they can actually go out into the world and things like that. And so this need for attachment is really strong for teenagers, right? And in the absence of nurturing mutually responsive adult caretakers, parents, and people around them, that need doesn't go away. That need doesn't go away. It's still there. Think about us, Shalini. When any of our closest relationships are threatened or compromised, how do we feel about that? It feels terrible. So you can just imagine what happens with the kids. And so what do the kids do when they that attachment need is not met with the adults in their life? What do you think happens? What happens with them?
Well, clearly they go to their friends, or they have some boy or girl hitting on them online, so they succumb to talking to that person. So yeah.
Absolutely. So they turn to their peers. And
Yeah.
so when they turn to their peers, this whole process of moving from adolescence to adulthood, which ideally should be guided by, a wise adult, right? It falls upon the peers. And so what will you get? Naturally, you'll get immaturity, you'll get lack of emotional regulation, the critical circuits of the brain, which are most important for things like attention, impulse control, emotional regulation. And this happens for adolescents. They learn to regulate through a process of co-regulation. Okay. And so in the absence of an attachment with a mutually responsive adult, they turn to to their peers, and you're going to get a lot of challenges. You're going to have a complete rejection of adult values. You're going to have you're going to have behavior problems. You're going to have risk taking behavior, and you're going to have all these vices. And that's what perhaps we are seeing. So I think this is a great opportunity, the time that we are in, for us, when we can spend time with that family. We can actually see what everyone's doing. This is a great time for us, because the power of the parent lies in how much your child values your relationship with you.
Yeah.
And so the more your child values that relationship, the more power you have. Okay. And that's a power that we have as parents, but sometimes we lose that power. So this is a time to get that power back. Okay. And you can't do that by being in advisory mode all the time, Shalini.
Yeah.
You've got to have fun with your kid. You got to play those games. You got to cook together. You got to listen to the music they love, even if you don't like it so much. Okay. And that's all right. But it could be fun, I mean, if you put yourself into it, you got to do things together. And I think this is a godsend opportunity in some which way, which we can really use to sort of get that attachment back with our kids. And I think that will help us to help them to make a better choice when they're sitting alone with that phone, and doing whatever it is that they need to do, to navigate this coronavirus.
So this is also something that I say, that you have to plan activities with your children, because if they are not doing anything with you, then obviously that's their go-to, right? But if they've got stuff that they're doing with you, so I have like this set calendar that I have to do. There's prime time for the family.
Okay.
The rest of the time, we all have to do our own thing as well. That space has to be given. But you have to have activities planned together, which is such a big deal. In fact, before I was doing this, we were all playing Scrabble. We were all on our phones though, but we were playing Scrabble sitting across each other, which is a great way to do it as well. We actually sing every evening together, which is
wonderful. That sounds great.
So all the Mohammad Rafis and the Kishore Kumars and Lata Mangeshkars are all in our house right now.
I love that. Wonderful. Sounds great. Yeah.
So we have activities that we do together. So I think everybody should indulge in those. However, my next question to you, Sanjoli, is also very important, because even though you've advised that we should communicate and we should become friends and etc. However, the emotions are running high because there's too much time being spent together, and your mom's irritating you, or your daughter's irritating, your husband's irritating you, and emotionally there's exhaustion, because you're just like, let me do my own thing. There's reactions, there's exhaustion. Can you give like some sort of tips on how to take a step back and count to 10, but your version of it, for the teenagers and the young adults, I would say?
Yeah. Okay. And I think this applies very much for the parents also, because unless they manage their own stress, they're not going to be able to manage their teenagers, right? So they've got to first look after themselves. So, I'm going to just sort of invite everyone to consider that, emotions, so these feelings of frustration, irritation, irritability, panic, and disgust, or whatever it is, these are all, these are all very understandable feelings at a time like this. our lives have been severely disrupted.
Yeah.
We probably had a schedule that we loved. We went down, met our friends, we went to the gym, we went for work. Maybe someone had something really exciting planned and they're not going to be able to do that now because of what has happened, right? They can't step out. So for example, when you and I were talking earlier, you said frustration is one feeling that's coming up a lot for people. So every feeling has a very specific message that it's trying to convey to us. Okay. So you have two choices when you have difficult feelings, right? You can either ignore them, bottle them down, push them aside, brush them away, pretend that they don't exist. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or you can dive deeper into them. Okay. Now, if you bottle them up, ignore them, try to brush them aside, pretend they don't exist, what happens with feelings? Unless they get heard, unless they're able to deliver their message, they'll continue to stay. They won't go away. Okay, they'll stay because our feelings are Susan David says this, and she says our feelings are signposts to the things that we value. So if you're feeling frustrated, it's telling you that something's coming in the way. So that's a very clear message. Okay, that something's coming in the way. You want something, you want a certain way of life, you want to meet your friends, you want to go out and about, you want to do things that you had before coronavirus, but now you're not going to be able to do them, and so that's coming in the way, right? And now the choices that you have is you can either pretend that feeling is not there and it'll continue to fester and it'll build up, and then it might just come out in a manner that's extremely detrimental to you and your family, right? Or you can dive deep into your feelings, tune into the messages that they're trying to convey to you, and use that information to build a better life for yourself. Okay. And so how do you do that? How you do that is by saying, by sort of tuning in and saying, okay, this frustration is telling me something's not working for me, something's coming in the way, and now I have two choices. There are some things that I can control and there are others that I cannot control. Okay. So what do I have? If we are unable to reframe our life, because our life has changed completely and entirely. Okay. So you have to be able to reframe and see what is there right now that can work for you. What can you do with what you've got? And if you start looking it from that perspective, chances are you'll find hundreds of things to do. But if you get stuck about something that you had and you want to keep going back and you can't go back there, that might just it just might cause that feeling to grow and fester and become really terrible and difficult. So paradoxically, funnily, the only way to manage our feelings is to dive deeper into them. Just dive deep, listen to the messages they're bringing, and use that information to build a better life. So I don't know if that answers your question. I
No,
hope
no, it does. It does, because you said you have to deal with it. To put it on the back burner is not going. It's going to come up and it's going to erupt. So I absolutely agree with you that it is.
absolutely.
This has been really special because there are no end to the questions. I want you to actually leave the viewers with something special. Let's say the 4 or 5 tips that you would give to stay above it at this in the current circumstances.
Okay, so I think what I'm my focus is really on the fact that everyone's going through stress right now. Okay, and that stress is there. Okay, it might be at the back of your mind, but everyone's just a bit stressed because there are all kinds of repercussions that coronavirus is going to lead to, and some of which we don't even know what they're going to be all about.
Yeah.
Right? It's very uncertain. There's a lot of uncertainty, right? And so when we are stressed, stress is not just in our mind, Shalini, it's in our body. Okay. And stress leads to cortisol, which is the stress hormone, and it leads to a whole host of other things which can really compromise our health and well-being. And actually, at a time like this, we need our immunity to be really strong. Okay, we want to prevent ourselves from contracting coronavirus. I want a strong immunity. So one of the things that I think I'll share one, and I'll just take a little more time, but I'll share that one thing. One of the most important things that people can do right now to strengthen their immunity and to evoke something we call the relaxation response, which is the opposite of the stress response. Okay, is something as simple as breathing right. Okay, and I wanted to share that. But a lot of people, and I've been doing this for many years now, and I've realized that so many of us are getting it wrong. I was getting it wrong. So why don't we just do this exercise, Shalini? Why
Sure.
don't you put one hand on your belly and put one on your chest? Okay, and just take one or two deep breaths and tell me what you notice. So just close your eyes. I feel like I think you're doing it right. So tell me what's happening when you're inhaling. What's happening to your stomach?
So I'm a big one for breathing, Sanjoli, because I do that a lot because I used to get anxious in the car and in the plane. So I've
Wonderful.
been practicing breathing for a really long time because it calms you down, right? And
Absolutely.
that's something. And now having moved to Monaco, I realized that we Indians have had this in our life through yoga and through all
For a
the other
long, long time.
but the people over there practice it a lot more than we do here.
Absolutely.
So that's how they actually don't have families like we do, larger families, and we have a lot of family things to do. So they're mostly alone and they keep themselves calm with a lot of breathing exercises that they do. So yeah,
Correct.
I know exactly what you're saying, that breathing
So why don't you tell? So, really, I think, and just for the benefit of the everyone who's watching, it's really about when you're inhaling, your lungs expand, your diaphragm moves down, and your stomach should move out. So your stomach fills up. Okay. And when you're exhaling, your stomach moves in, your diaphragm moves up, your lungs are squeezed, and air is expelled through your nose or your mouth, depending on what you're doing, right? And that's the right way to breathe. But for a lot of people, when I've shared this with them, they still despite the legacy that we have in India, okay, when they're breathing in, their stomach is moving in. That's the wrong way. Okay. And so if we can just every day for about 10 or 15 minutes, and if you can do it twice a day, amazing, splendid. Okay. Twice a day. But you should only do this before you've eaten your meals. So 2 hours after eating a meal, you shouldn't do this. You should do this before your meals, right? And so just for 10-15 minutes a day, if you can do this deep breathing, it's free. You need no equipment. You need nothing, but it has the most remarkable influence on your health and well-being. Okay. It evokes the relaxation response. It stimulates the vagus nerve. A lot of people now are familiar with the vagus nerve.
Yeah.
And it basically, it stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest system. Okay. So I think it's a beautiful thing, and I hope everyone will try it. It's just do this every day.
Super. So, Julia, I also want you to share with everybody how can they reach you? How can they reach the Mind and Heart Foundation and do your programs so that
Yeah.
they know how to reach you as well?
So really simple. We have this nice page. Well, I think it's a nice page. I hope it is. So we have a page on Facebook. It's called Mind and Heart Foundation. And I think, Shalini, you're going to put the little logo that we have, right? You're going
Yes.
to put the logo on that so people
Yes.
can see that logo, and maybe, we can just attach a link to our page.
Yes.
And so if anyone wants to reach out, just message me on that page. We are doing a lot of courses. All our courses are now offered online. You pursued one of them a couple of years back, and I know I know you took great advantage of that course, and that's what we need. It's not enough to do the course. You got to practice it, and that's the most important thing. And so we are offering all our courses online. We have lots of courses going right now. So just send us a message on Facebook, and we'll share all the details with you.
Yes, you're right. I was one of the people who did a course with you, and it was not just, I didn't just learn EQ with Sanjoli, but also clearly Zoom, because eventually that's the one that's helping us right now. Thank you so much, Sanjoli. I really appreciate your time, and I really appreciate your patience because we've had every possible technical snag, but we did this. And thank you all for watching. And you can reach out to Sanjoli. I know a lot of questions, but not possible to answer all of them in such a short duration. You can personally send her a direct message as well. In these circumstances, she'll be happy to help you any which way. So please do reach out to her. And thank you so much for being with me. See you guys again soon.
Thank you so much, Shalini. I enjoyed this very much. Thanks a ton.
Thanks.
See ya.
Signing off, Shalini Says. Keep watching.